Khabib Nurmagomedov absolutely humiliated drug addict, alcoholic, sexual predator Conor McGregor after Conor McGregor accused him of scamming his fans by selling an NFT that a lot of people bought based on exactly what it was advertised as.
Khabib invited McGregor to a Dagestani rehabilitation center, not for a fight, but for treatment. This bombshell landed after McGregor resurfaced from a psychedelic rebirth in Mexico, claiming he met Jesus and healed from vague trauma. Khabib's message was brutally direct. Mexico didn't help you as far as I can see. The undefeated legend implied McGregor's healing was an illusion, suggesting severe substance issues remain. This wasn't just a clapback, it was a surgical strike at McGregor's deepest vulnerabilities, exposing his personal struggles on a global stage. The combat world instantly erupted.
There is no way good guy Khabib used his late father's name as well as Dagestani culture to scam his fans and fire sell a bunch of digital NFTs online and then delete all of the content after they were sold, leaving his fans robbed of their money. There is no way a good guy do this.
Just days before, the conflict ignited over digital collectibles. Khabib launched Papaka and NFTs, digital versions of his iconic Dagestani hat deeply linked to his late father's legacy. These unique tokens, symbolizing honor and tradition, sold out within hours, raking in $4.4 million for philanthropic ventures. Buyers received exactly what was advertised, a piece of Khabib's heritage on the blockchain. But Conor McGregor saw a different story unfolding, an opportunity to strike at his most hated rival's integrity, to drag his name through the mud with a baseless accusation.
Let's be honest, the main reason there are so many anti-Muslim MMA fans is because Khabib brutalized McGregor back in 2018. The casual incels were devastated watching McGregor have his soul taken that night and simply never recovered.
McGregor's attack was reckless and quickly deleted, a characteristic move. He accused Khabib of using his late father's name and Dagestani culture to scam his fans by fire-selling NFTs, then deleting all the content to leave fans robbed of their money. The claim was inflammatory, designed to provoke and completely devoid of factual merit. What McGregor called deleting evidence was, in reality, standard post-sale procedure. The promotional link was simply replaced with a thank you message after the sellout, a fact later publicly confirmed by Telegram's CEO partner.
Absolute liar. You will always try to darken my name after you got destroyed that night, but you will never achieve that. Yes, good guys don't do that. This is 100% fact.
Yet, the damage was already done. Anti-Muslim elements within the MMA fanbase, a contingent fueled since Khabib's brutal domination at UFC 299, eagerly seized on McGregor's accusations. They used the fabricated scandal to further their agenda, proclaiming Khabib had scammed his followers. This narrative ignored the clear distinction between a transparent digital collectible sale and actual fraudulent schemes. The casual fans, still reeling from McGregor's decisive loss years ago, seemed all too willing to believe any disparaging claim against the man who had humbled their idol so completely.
My count is 56 former drug addicts at my rehabilitation center in Dagestan that I treated. Come to Dagestan, act Notorious MMA. They'll take care of you here. Mexico didn't help you as far as I can see.
Khabib Nurmagomedov, at 36 with a perfect 29-0 record and nothing left to prove, is not a man who suffers insults in silence, especially not when his family's legacy is under attack. His response was swift and precise. "You absolute liar, you will always try to darken my name after you get destroyed that night, but you will never achieve that." No further explanation was needed. Every person in combat sports knew exactly which night he referenced. October 6, 2018, UFC 29, the night that changed everything. A defeat that had scarred McGregor deeply.
Conor he's kind of an embarrassment to his family. And I do believe Conor has a disease, but I do also believe that Conor is a complete piece of shit. And Khabib should say this. And Khabib did open some drug rehabilitation centers in Dagestan.
That night, UFC 229 generated 2.4 million pay-per-view buys, the highest in UFC history. It ended with McGregor tapping frantically to a neck crank in the 4th round. The post-fight chaos saw Khabib jump the cage to attack McGregor's cornerman, resulting in a $500,000 fine and a 9-month suspension. But more significantly, it fundamentally broke something inside Conor McGregor that had never truly healed. Khabib then defended his NFT project. Good guys don't do that. They don't create exclusive digital gifts with real-time value that symbolize tradition and culture of Dagestan people.
If you want to go back to some of the crypto incidents that Khabib was related in, I guess you should talk about what Conor did. Because if we're conflating the two things, selling an NFT exactly as advertised, and we're conflating that with a crypto scam, let's not forget. Let's not forget, okay? Because Conor, and we're not going to go through all this, Conor hyped up a crypto coin, and then he rug pulled that crypto coin.
McGregor, undeterred, doubled down with increasing ferocity. He called Khabib a low IQ troglodyte and demanded an apology for robbing fans. Disturbingly, he continued invoking Khabib's deceased father, a repugnant pattern that had defined his attacks leading up to UFC 200. Back then, he similarly targeted Khabib Nurmagomedov with crude remarks, specifically designed to provoke an emotional response from his son. The irony was palpable to anyone who remembered how McGregor's psychological warfare, particularly his attacks on family, had backfired so spectacularly in
Khabib took Conor's soul years ago, and the fans have never recovered, and they hate Muslim fighters because of it. And I will continue to call it out. I don't care.
In their first encounter, McGregor had mocked everything the Dagestani fighter held sacred. His family, his faith, his culture. He cracked crude jokes about Khabib's father. Then, he was systematically dismantled over 4 brutal rounds. Forced to desperately tap to escape a neck crank that threatened to put him to sleep, the psychological trauma of that defeat never truly healed. 7 years later, McGregor was still reaching for the same failed weapons, demonstrating a fundamental inability to move past the most devastating loss of his illustrious career.
And luckily, Khabib called it out, he acknowledged it, and he embarrassed Conor McGregor for being the low-life piece of that he is. But it's just sad to me, a lot of fans co-sign this. It's sad to me that you got content creators saying, oh, it's definitely a scam.
Khabib's strategic pivot to the rehabilitation invitation demonstrated why he had so thoroughly dominated McGregor inside the octagon. It wasn't just physical superiority, but an unshakable psychological composure his rival simply couldn't match. Instead of bickering over NFTs on McGregor's petty level, Khabib surgically targeted McGregor's publicly documented journey in Mexico. His post referencing 56 former addicts treated at his Dagestani center directly challenged the legitimacy of McGregor's psychedelic rebirth, suggesting real treatment was needed, not hallucinogenic visions. This masterstroke post garnered over 11 million views, becoming one of the most engaged pieces of content in their long-running feud. Fans reacted with a mixture of awe at Khabib's composure and dark amusement at the surgical precision with which he targeted McGregor's weakness. One fan quipped, "The counter is, he's kind of an embarrassment to his family, and I do also believe that Conor is a complete piece of shit, and Khabib should say this." The public largely recognized Khabib's genius in elevating the discourse beyond mere accusation. The genius lay in the subtext. While McGregor accused Khabib of exploiting his father's legacy, Khabib was quietly showcasing what he actually built with his post-fighting career: rehabilitation centers, saving lives, and Eagles MMA coaching the next generation of fighters. He was scheduled to corner Islam Makhachev at UFC 311. His life had moved forward in productive, impactful directions. McGregor, by painful contrast, remained consumed by battles from 2018, as if the intervening 7 years of personal growth and professional evolution had never even occurred. McGregor's response to the rehab invitation betrayed how deeply Khabib's psychological warfare had found its mark. He lashed out, "And who will I be meeting there? Because it won't be you. You can't scam me with your lies, you tax-dodging scammer on the run. Your poor family. I pray, while you lie, you should just be honest, because Allah knows all." The invocation of Allah in a dispute over NFTs struck many as particularly revealing. McGregor, who had always weaponized Khabib's Muslim faith against him, was now desperately reaching for religious provocation as his primary attack tool. What made McGregor's accusations of NFT scamming truly hypocritical was his own documented history with cryptocurrency promotions. In 2024, McGregor launched his own meme coin, Real, which raised nearly $400,000 from investors before spectacularly collapsing in value, leaving token holders with worthless assets. Crypto investigator Zach XBT highlighted this staggering irony, noting McGregor had deleted posts related to his failed cryptocurrency venture after its implosion. He, the accuser, had done precisely what he was falsely accusing Khabib of doing, but on a far more The distinction between Khabib's actions and McGregor's accusations was fundamental. Khabib advertised a specific digital collectible, a traditional Dagestani hat, and delivered exactly that. No one was deceived. A rug pull scam, like McGregor's real coin, involves creating a worthless asset, inflating its value through celebrity endorsement, then selling holdings at the peak, leaving retail investors with catastrophic losses. McGregor had engaged in the latter, yet he positioned himself as the defender of scammed fans. The hypocrisy was truly staggering. Khabib had created something with genuine cultural value, a digital representation of a symbol deeply meaningful to him and his community, sold to willing buyers who understood their purchase. McGregor, however, hyped a worthless cryptocurrency, then watched his followers lose their money when its inevitable collapse occurred. Khabib's protege and current lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev, offered the most succinct analysis of McGregor's increasingly erratic behavior. Khabib broke his mind. He's not going to fight anymore. The mental toll was evident to all. The contrast in trajectory since their 2018 collision couldn't be starker. Khabib defended his title twice more against elite competition before retiring undefeated, fulfilling a sacred promise to his mother after his father's passing. He built an empire in coaching and philanthropy. McGregor, meanwhile, lost 3 of his last 4 fights, grotesquely breaking his leg against Dustin Poirier, a moment symbolizing his career's decline. He accumulated legal troubles, controversies, and saw his acting debut in the Roadhouse remake receive mixed reviews. While McGregor descended into controversy and competitive decline, Khabib ascended into respected retirement. He established institutions that would far outlast his fighting career. The rehabilitation centers in Dagestan represented tangible good, saving lives from addiction. Eagles MMA became a factory for world-class fighters, carrying forward the Nurmagomedov tradition. And now, McGregor was attacking Khabib over digital hats, accusing him of scamming fans with a product that delivered exactly what it promised. His bitterness seemed to have no bounds. A question always hung over this feud: will Khabib Nurmagomedov ever fight Conor McGregor again? The answer, unequivocally, remains no. Khabib has repeatedly stated that the grueling preparation required for an elite comeback after years away is unlikely. His commitment to his mother, a promise made in her deepest grief, is sacred and inviolable. His current work as a coach and businessman fulfills him in ways competition never could. He has nothing left to prove to anyone, especially not to the man he defeated so comprehensively 7 years prior. Yet, the discourse persists, because the hatred persists. Neither man seems capable of releasing the other from a grip of contempt forged in the lead-up to UFC 2229. That rivalry saw McGregor ambush a bus with Khabib inside, smashing windows. It featured McGregor attacking Khabib's religion, calling him a backward Soviet, and making crude implications about his wife and father. Khabib's chilling response, "I'll kill you," wasn't hype. It was genuine hostility from a man pushed past his limits. The psychological wounds inflicted then proved impossible to heal. The fight itself provided Khabib everything he desired. He systematically dismantled McGregor's mystique with relentless takedowns and ground and pound. McGregor had moments, but the trajectory was clear. Khabib's wrestling conditioning and indomitable will were simply too superior. What devastated McGregor psychologically was not just the physical domination, but the complete failure of his signature psychological warfare. He'd rattled Aldo, confused Alvarez, but Khabib remained stoic, absorbing every insult, then methodically destroying him inside the cage. Khabib later described that night as "my vacation," pure joy smashing a hated rival legally. McGregor, despite his post-fight claims of not being humbled, saw his career trajectory since that night suggest otherwise. The years had been kind to Khabib, cruel to McGregor. Khabib retired 29-0, fulfilling his mother's wishes. He built Eagles MMA into a powerhouse, with Islam Makhachev now holding the lightweight title and Umar Nurmagomedov emerging as a contender. The psychological damage inflicted on McGregor at UFC 29 was a topic widely discussed and now reaffirmed. As November 2025 ended, the scorecard for this latest round of the eternal conflict was clear. Khabib emerged with his reputation enhanced, his composure demonstrated, his philanthropic work highlighted. McGregor, conversely, once again revealed himself as a man consumed by bitterness, unable to accept or transcend his devastating defeat. He attacked a grieving son over his father's legacy, made baseless accusations, and resorted to religious provocation when all other ammunition ran out. The UFC wisely remained silent, letting the fire burn itself out. The rematch officially remains impossible. Khabib's mother's wishes non-negotiable. Yet the war of words, this endless cycle of accusation and response, deletion and resurrection, of wounds picked open and salt rubbed in, that will continue as long as both men draw breath and have social media access. It is, in its own way, the only rematch either will ever get. An eternal verbal sparring match where neither can truly win because the decisive result was already rendered 7 years ago. Inside the T-Mobile Arena, Khabib won, McGregor lost, and neither can escape that gravity.